India, a beacon of growth and development, is shining in the 21st century. Now, as the leader of the global south, our collective voice must be a powerful advocate for people and planet positive innovation, action, and impact with his bold ambition of reaching new heights by 2030. To embrace new ideas, realize new solutions, and to find new ways to balance the economic, social, and environmental needs of our world, Hindalco Industries, in collaboration with Xynteo, hosted the Exchange 2024 at the Manekshaw Center, Delhi. The 1.5-day event brought together Indian and global corporates, financiers, technology players, government, not-for-profits, and entrepreneurs for perspective-shaping conversations, shaping action-oriented solutions, and to accelerate India's ambitions for an inclusive and planet-positive future. The event was kick-started by a welcome address by Vipul Kumar, Senior Partner at Xynteo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure, and so for Xynteo, to invite you all to the Xynteo Exchange 2024. I feel extremely inspired to be in this gathering of very distinguished guests, thought leaders, and change makers from across sectors and across geographies. The theme for this year's exchange is scaling good growth. In the context of worsening climate crisis and rising inequalities, it is extremely important that as we grow our businesses and our nation, that we address these challenges well. And indeed, many of us are already doing so. But looking at the magnitude of the problem in hand, it is extremely important that we come together and find solutions at scale so that we can benefit the many and benefit them rapidly. With that, let me close by welcoming you all once again.
Hindalco Industries Managing Director Satish Pai delivered his keynote address.
I think a few words from my side. I still remember the first meeting when we got involved in Xynteo. What I saw was a collaborative platform where you had energy companies like Shell, you had Baker Hughes and Technip, you had FMCG companies like HUL, and then metals and mining companies like Hindalco, and then medical companies like Cyient, and then WPP. And I thought it was quite amazing to get in India a collaborative platform where so many corporates and then so many thought leaders, so many heads of NGOs all came together to try to solve very relevant social, environmental problems. And I think the part that I wanted to sort of put out is that most companies have got their own programs and they all try to do. But many of these problems are too complex for one company to solve on its own. And while there are many initiatives, I think what the world needs more is more collaboration across companies, across different institutions, with governmental bodies, if we are going to solve, especially the sustainability and the environment problems that we face today. So I think for me, that's what I thought that was quite amazing about Xynteo and why we sort of stayed engaged all this time. So I hope that this day, or tomorrow at least, when we meet in all the different forums, we can have some real conversations, we can collaborate. We are not competitors in this platform over here. And there is going to be, and I think that when you brainstorm with people from different sides, new ideas come out. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow and the rest of the session today to get sort of inspired.
The event also witnessed a very candid fireside chat themed Leveraging India's Sustainability Agenda to Establish India's Global Leadership Position with G20 Sherpa for India, Amitabh Kant.
Well, thank you so much. And we're talking about good growth and the importance of good and sustainable growth in our 2030 and 2047 agenda. And who better to talk about this than Mr. Amitabh Kant, somebody who has been leading the government on many key initiatives in the DPIIT, then a CEO of Niti Aayog, then G20 Sherpa. He's also the key driver of Incredible India, Make in India, Startup India. So you've seen the sustainability agenda really develop in the government over the last 10 years. And in the interim budget, the finance minister clearly said that be it saving the environment and growth, these two will not go on separate paths. It has to happen together. We saw a big focus on sustainability, on the blue economy, on rooftop solar schemes in the budget. Now, when we ask you about how India is going to balance its needs as we move forward to our 2047 agenda, how will we ensure sustainability, we work for a sustainable planet, and ensure our growth as well?
So Parikshit, first of all, there's very little carbon space available. You know, out of the 2,800 gigatons of carbon space, 2,400 of it has already been occupied by the developed world when they were industrializing and when they were urbanizing. So they made cities for cars and not for people. Their car companies bought over the railway companies and destroyed them. But we in India have the greatest opportunity to do a very unique model of sustainable development. And that is that we must become the first country in the world to urbanize and industrialize without carbonizing. And this model, if we are able to build for ourselves, we'll be making a model for the 90 to 100 odd countries of the global south. And that is the big opportunities. It's like, if we are able to find a solution for the 1.4 billion people of India, it's not a solution for 1.4 billion people, it's a solution for the 5 billion people who are going to move from poverty to middle class in the next 2 decades. So that is the unique opportunity for India to build upon a circular economy, to build upon what the Prime Minister has called lifestyle for environment, to build upon ensuring that we decarbonize every single process of manufacturing and urbanization as we move forward.
Would you like to leave our audience of policymakers, top industrialists from across the country with any thoughts on how we're taking forward the G20 agenda? I'm sure you would be traveling to Brazil very often this year to take the sustainability agenda forward. What is the unfinished agenda which you think that the India and the world needs to take forward?
We must do planned sustainable urbanization. We must make cities which are built on the back of public transportation and not cars. We should make cities for cycling, for walking, and that is how we'll do new urbanization. We have the biggest opportunity in the world to ensure that by design, we create circular economy in our manufacturing process. And I was truly delighted to see the excellent work done by Xynteo in the exhibition outside in a vast range of areas. And there are a number of young startups who are doing this path-breaking work. And that is what we need to spearhead.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kant, for joining us. It was interesting. It was an excellent discussion, a thought-provoking one. Thank you very much to everyone in the audience for being with us.
One of the highlights of the Exchange 2024 was an immersive session where Xynteo showcased their work with Hindustan Unilever and SBI Foundation, aimed at strengthening public and private sector collaboration to develop financially viable and inclusive solutions for plastic waste circularity. It also showcased Xynteo's work, supported by Hindalco Industries, to preserve and revive the traditional art form of Kosa silk weaving by unlocking barriers across the value chain and securing livelihoods for artisans in Chhattisgarh. Participants also heard about Build Ahead, a business-led coalition powered by Xynteo to enable a net-zero built environment in India through collective action by accelerating demand for low-carbon building materials. The first day of the event concluded with a power-packed panel discussion themed India's Good Growth on a Global Stage. The aim to deliberate on how we can contribute to build on the momentum of what India has achieved in 2023 and hear from some of the key leaders on what India needs to do to cement its position as a leader of the Global South.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here at Exchange 2024, especially to moderate an all-women panel. And a huge round of applause first for distinguished ladies. Now, if we look at just the achievements of 2023, I think India has had a lot going for her, and I am going to refer to her as her. From the G20 presidency to harnessing emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, exciting solar and lunar missions, and of course, becoming the 5th largest economy in the world, 2023 has been incredible for India in terms of achievements. But where do we go from here? How do we keep this momentum going? And how do we really cement our position as a significant leader promoting good growth from the Global South? Those are some of the questions we're going to be answering here today. So first up, if I may start with the space odysseys that we've been having in the last year, and it's obviously been exciting for all of us as citizens of the nation. And Nigar, congratulations on the Aditya L1 solar mission.
Thank you.
Give us a sense of what really has gone into the making of this mission. And of course, we are all proud of ISRO scientists and everybody at ISRO doing incredible work. But what really goes on behind the scenes? And going forward, how do you think ISRO will play a particular role in cementing India's position as a leader, especially in space exploration?
First of all, thank you. And it's an opportunity for sharing the stage with such luminaries who has made a mark in their own respective fields. Okay, coming to Aditya L1, heliophysics are, because we, the planet, we live because of the sun. And we need to understand how the process is happening in the sun and how it influences our planet Earth. So over the last more than 30 years, people have been studying about the sun and its process through the ground telescopes and also through the space observatories. But still a lot need to be understood. You say some of the few things which I can quote is the coronal heating or the magnetic reconnection. You might have heard about the solar flares and the solar winds which bombard Earth, and our Earth is protected by the magnetic field. Because of that we are not being exposed to this huge eruptions of the sun. So still we need to understand how this origin is happening, how the process is happening, and also that's one aspect of it. And we have a lot of uniqueness in this mission. And the other aspect is the space weather. It's like our Earth weather. Space weather is an important field which is all over the world it is being, because we have more space assets today compared to the yesteryears. And as you told, we have more than 50 spacecrafts orbiting around the Earth. And so all these eruptions can damage the spacecrafts orbiting around the Earth, as also the astronauts when we have the space stations and the astronauts which are going out. So all those things, we should have a prediction of the space weather. Still the model is not well built and the space weather prediction is not well developed like the Earth weather. So this mission pave a way to build a better model so that our space weather can be predicted in a better way. These are all the major aspects for which this mission is made for.
Let me also bring in Soumya at this point, shifting gears, moving to healthcare a little bit. During COVID, India has demonstrated to the world that we are not just the huge producers of vaccines in the world. We can also deliver, vaccination faster. We can produce faster. We can help other nations around the world when it comes to something like a pandemic. So if you look back at the last couple of years, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you think India has overcome and which we are which is helping us set up for good growth in 2030, if we look at it? And what have some of our big achievements been in the last few years when you look at it?
Well, health is really fundamental, I think, for economic development. And if anything, the pandemic proved that when you take away health, everything else just collapses around you. And so I think whether it's business and industry, whether it's government, whoever it is, I think the health of people and how we can best protect it is going to be very essential if we want to be, you know, a developed country and a major economy, which we are going to be. But I think investing in human capital is going to be very critical, in addition to the infrastructure and other things that we're doing. And for human capital, we have to invest in the first 1,000 days of life.
Well, you know, we've talked about space, we've talked about healthcare. Let me then shift the focus on to IT and technology, because, you know, that's been one of our key sectors that has been putting India on the world map for many decades now. So, you know, Debjani, if you want to look back at the last couple of years, what would you say are some of our big achievements that are setting us up well for the future, and maybe also count out 2 or 3 challenges that currently the Indian IT sector is facing?
Thank you. And first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, for having me here, and for being on a panel with such amazing women, right next to one who is an absolute role model for me. You know, when I'm going to answer this question by asking a question. How many of you in the room depend on your phone for most of your financial transactions? UPI, hands up. That's the India tech story. In very simple words, India's tech story is that technology has today become an absolutely integral part of our existence, our basic existence, how we live, how we study, how we work, how we purchase things. Everything depends on technology. I mean, take our phone away and we are lost, you know. And I think it's something we need to talk more about, especially in today's world where everything is about artificial intelligence, where everything is about AI. But the AI story, as it is unfolding, is a very non-inclusive story as yet. And I think this is where the world has to look at India and has to look at what India has done with its technology to understand how do you really build into the very core design principles of your tech mantra that not only encourages it, but also gives them that platform. And that's fantastic.
The other area that perhaps needs more investment, and then I'd like to draw you in there, is that of social empowerment. Now, when we're talking good growth, that is at the heart of everything else that we build out, you know, whether it's women's empowerment, whether it's sanitation. Now, you're someone who works extensively in these areas. Give us a sense of how we fare on those counts in the last couple of years, where you have seen the development happen, what are the gaps, what will set us up well for 2030?
Thank you. And let me start by saying that it is truly an honor to be in the midst of such remarkable women, truly inspirational stories in themselves. Women-led program for women works very well. Women-led programs generally work very well. And one of these examples I'd love to share with you to explain what I mean by this is Jharkhand was falling behind on this toilet building program. And the self-help groups of Jharkhand, there were 1.2 lakh self-help groups there, came together to establish Rani Mistris. The Rani Mistris were the self-help groups, learned how to be masons, how to build toilets, but generally learned masonry. They helped Jharkhand achieve its toilet building program. Today, they are masons in their own right, with the economic might of earning, and of course the ability to pay back the microfinance loans they take, which was the original formation of the self-help group. So if we can drive the social infrastructure through these self-help groups, already organized women, teaching them livelihoods, and through those livelihoods, we can put social programs into place, help them become earning members of society, then not only does the repayment to the banks, which by the way is already at 98% to microfinance institutions, continue, but it becomes even better and we create economic entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing those very, very valuable insights.